The governor has extended the stay-at-home order till May 4th. So we need to continue our social distancing and stay at home unless you need to go to the grocery store, liquor store, or or a doctor's appointment. Other than that, you should be staying home. I thank you for the time.
So I think we're going to get an update from Esther.
Yes.
Right? So our public health nurse, Esther Martone.
Good morning. So as of right now, we had one new case come in overnight. That puts our town's total cases up to 11, including our DPW worker. So far, we have seen 100 Bellingham residents be tested. So it's 10% positive rate at this time. Please just continue to wash your hands, stay out of public places unless it's an emergency so that we can curb this.
Excellent. All right. We have two very special guests today. First being our police chief, Jerry Daigle. You want to go ahead and give any update?
I think what we're all going through right now is something that's changed the total mindset of not only my profession, but Fire Chief Gentile and everybody else. We sit back and think about our careers here in the town, and we go back 20 years when I started as chief. It was business as usual, and then the next thing you know, here comes 9/11. Changed the whole facet of how policing was done, areas you patrolled as far as infrastructures, things you were looking for out there. Kind of relating this as something similar. It's kind of changed the whole mindset of how our police officers are patrolling our town, their interactions with individuals. And as department heads, I'm sure I can speak for myself, Chief Gentile and Deputy, our major concerns are the safety of our staff and the citizens of our town. We've had to sit back and adjust how we operate. You'll notice with the governor's orders that there's a lot less traffic. Matter of fact, we had a couple accidents yesterday, and that was unheard of recently. Usually that's standard, a couple here and there all day. So we're kind of discouraging a lot of the interaction that the officers have with people in terms of motor vehicle stops. If you see something you have to do that's, pretty flagrant or whatever, still, they're going to be out there. It's not free reign. We're dealing with a system now that's actually closed their courthouses. If we do make an arrest, we're dealing with clerks, judges, everybody by phone. We're doing bail hearings, we're doing arraignments, things we've never thought we'd be doing in our careers. It's changed the whole facet of how we deal with the sheriff's department in terms of prisoners that might need to be held because we're short-term facilities. So there's a lot of changes in the profession that have come about since this whole virus started. You have to keep stressing the washing the hands, the cleaning the equipment, spraying the buildings every day. We're out there spraying the cars. All the calls the officers are going on, trying to keep the social distance. So far, so good in terms of people being hunkered down. Maybe it's just a matter of time before they all start getting on each other's nerves, but it's to be expected, I guess. So hopefully things will, pan out after a while, but there's a lot of concerns that we need to take a look at. Dealing with my offices, they've never had to really work with PPE material, put on protective gear. These are things that policies, there's a lot of common sense, but at the same time, we need to give them some direction. For an example, Deputy Chief and Fire Chief can tell you on rescue runs, a normal person doesn't feel good, whatever. I don't want my officers rushing in. They usually most of the time they'll get the calls first, but if it's a life-saving situation, then they're going in. But for the most part, they've been instructed to stage outside, get what information they can to relate to the firemen that are responding to the scene. So you've got to come up with a different mindset on how to deal with the public, keep your distances, and at the same time, you're trying to maintain your patrol levels, be some visibility in the neighborhoods in case people do have some concerns. But it's kind of changed, like I said, the mindset of how we're operating. The whole thing from being in the station, guys coming in to do reports, guys coming in to do breaks, using the gymnasium. These are all things you have to basically separate everybody. No more two-man cars. there's a lot of things that you just take for granted every day that you do, that you're in close contact with people that basically right now is taboo. So been a lot of adjustments. So far it's been good. As far as access to the police facility, you want to come in and request a report, we're going to have you fill out a form and leave it. We'll get back to you later. Same thing if you want to pick up a report. A lot of things are on hold. Driver's licenses, inspection stickers, registrations. I could get on the list of 60-day grace periods for this, that. It just gets to be a little bit too much for everybody. So the only thing we really are doing is if you wanted a gun permit, we're not doing any new licenses. A lot of people want them. Basically, if you're in for a renewal, we can use either an old photo or pull a photo off a driver's license, or have you come back at some other time. That way we're not in close contact, bringing you all back fingerprinting, and doing things that we really don't want to do as far as close contact. So there's been a lot of adjustments. There's been a lot of changes. We have to keep reminding the officers of roll calls, which even that is getting to be taboo. Kind of talk to people on the side. Wash your hands, clean your equipment. During this time with no school, I've had the option of using my 2 student resource officers who are normally tied up working in the schools as part of my complement of men on days. So I've been able to have them check on some of the town properties, the fields, break up gatherings of sports people or whoever, and at the same time, supplement the officers on calls if needed. So on one hand, it's worked out to have a little extra help on a shift, but at the same time, you've had to adjust everything you do in terms of operations, regular operations with daily stuff. So other than that, things have been going okay. The officers, knock on wood, I had one officer who wasn't feeling good, but everything kicked back okay. We're out there. We're out there on the front lines with the firemen. Mark can tell you, the chief can tell you, and it's bound to happen. Every day we get more and more reports of police officers across the state. We've actually had good communications with our area towns in terms of what if we start getting sick? How can we supplement each other? Mutual aid agreements are there. State police have offered to come in if it gets that drastic. They've actually got people that they can kind of lend you to help out. So we are looking at contingency plans in case things get worse. But for now, as far as a day-to-day operation, we've made some adjustments, and knock on wood, things have been going okay. I don't know if anybody has anything further, any questions, or
just to say, we appreciate the work, and I know the residents do, because I've gotten several calls about it, that the police department and obviously the fire department do. A lot of people are working from home. You don't have that luxury right now. You're out there doing the same things that you always do. We all know the men and women in the police department. They're part of the community, and we grew up with many of them, lived here for a long time, and they're right out there protecting us and doing the job that needs to get done. We certainly appreciate that.
and if anybody has questions, they're doubling up the dispatch during the day to field phone calls. If they don't have the answers, they're going to refer you to the proper people, whether it's the Board of Health or the town hall or the school department or whatever. So I've kind of added an extra dispatcher for now just to handle calls and field questions, basically. So that's been going really well.
All right. Thank you very much, Chief.
All right, you do.
Steve, you want to come on up? Fire Chief Steve Gentile.
Good morning.
Morning.
As the police chief just stated, this is trying times for both for public safety. Usually the normal things that we usually are used to and have done around the fire department in the 30 some odd years I've been there are now not the normal activities today. So I just want to go through some of the things that we've done for the public. As opposed to permits, so what we did is we put the FP6 permits, which is like a blanket permit that other than oil burner or propane, you can fill those out online. The open burning permits, what I did was, you can call the fire station, and now open burning is good till April 30th. So you can call the fire station, they'll answer a phone, You give them your name and address, they'll call you back, and they'll give you a permit number, and we waive the $10 fee.
Okay.
So that way, you don't have to come to the fire station in order. I noticed yesterday in the Bellingham Bulletin that the smoke and seal policy was before the governor came out and gave a directive not to proceed with those. The new policy with those smoke and seals are on the town's website now. And after talking to some of the agents, real estate agents, the closings there really aren't any signatures being done at the closings now anyway.
Okay.
You know, people are buying homes and they're not really, the transactions aren't really, you know, going all the way through.
Mhm.
So as part of the title, just to give a sort of a brief a change that's happening, as part of the title, instead of the homeowner who's selling the home is responsible for the smoke and seals, it's now going to be the person who sells, the person who buys the house, not the person that sells the house. So that's a way that keeps us from coming. At this time, my secretary, she's working from home. If you call her number and you leave a message, she is listening to her messages. I please ask that the public have some patience with that. If you need anything from her, again, she will get it to you. It's just not normal times now, and we will get that stuff to you. If it's been a while and you haven't heard from my secretary, then you can go onto the department, the town website, go to the fire department section, and you can email me or Deputy Chief Poirier, and we will get you what you're looking for. As you know, the fire department, we don't stop. We're on the front lines. Are my men anxious? Yes. And deservedly so.
Right.
But we have put in place, the deputy and the captains have gone and made policies that they must follow with PPE and all that stuff, in the way that they sanitize the rescues when they're done with them for COVID-19 patients. So they're doing pretty well in that area. We ask that the public not come to the fire station. However, unless you're an emergency walk-in, if you have an emergency medical reason you need to come into the station, please do. And we're also open as a safe haven location. So if you must utilize that location, you can do that for that reason. We have eliminated our tours. We have asked that the on-duty firefighters have their families remain away from the station. So the only people that should be in our department and in our buildings are the people that are working. So we've limited to that. As the chief was mentioning, through our Norfolk Chiefs Zoom meetings, we've discussed mutual aid and what would happen if the smaller communities lost enough men where they couldn't run. We decided that mutual aid agreements would come into effect then. Since it's a 2-week quarantine, we just felt that was a better avenue to go. It's just run with mutual aid. So the men continue to respond with the needed precautions. And I just want to tell the public that when you see them walk in, don't be insulted by the way they look. It's for your protection as much as it is for ours. So they're taking the precautions. Knock on wood, I had 2 quarantined. They're both back to work now. And so far, we're doing well in that area. And no other report.
Chief, I know there was talk at some of the updates about PPE. How was the fire department sitting with PPE and police department as well?
Through personal vendors, And through the deputy chief, emergency management director, we were able to get some PPE. Do we have enough?
For now.
For now, I think we do. If this spikes to a place where we're not sure it will go, we won't, and we'll have to make the appropriate calls to see if we can get the proper PPE. But for right now,
So we're still waiting on state or federal?
we got our state.
Yeah, through MEMA produced some gowns and masks for us.
No, I am a little, I mean, MEMA only provided 40 masks, for a department of 30 men. That I don't,
Yeah, same use, right?
to me, that's, to me, that's it's not appropriate.
Right.
We're gonna need more, but through outside vending and through donations, we have managed to stay ahead of the curve on it. I just wanted to add also, I know a lot of people at home, and thank you for doing this with the homemade masks. However, in our line and being on the front lines and going to people's homes, we cannot wear those masks. So where we appreciate the effort, I just want to let people know that we would be unable to wear a cloth mask or anything like that. We have to wear the N95s per DPH. But thank you to the group.
Great. Anything else, Dennis?
Just the same appreciation to the men and women of the fire department, front lines and come to work every day and do their job, and it's really appreciated. And I think the public really, it comes to light when we have a crisis like this. So I think we can extend that, as I said, to keep going.
Yes, and the men appreciate the community and their wishes, their well wishes. I'd like to thank some of the businesses, the restaurants out there who provide us food and stuff like that. So the community's been great, and my guys feel good that they know that, that the town's behind them. Thank you.
It's really a team effort. Yeah. Thanks, Steve.
Do you want to hear from the health agency?
Yeah, Bruce, you wanna? Bruce and Esther are gonna quickly become the most famous people in town pretty soon.
I know, we have a fan club. Obviously, Esther updated us on the numbers there. I just wanted to point out to the people, some safety factors. I had an incident yesterday where a person went into a supermarket with their reusable bags. The governor's banned those. Please don't bring them in. This person filled their bags, went to the counter, put them on the conveyor belt, which now has contaminated. The conveyor belt caused the store all kinds of grief. And then the patron was not so happy that they took their bags and put them on the floor off the conveyor belt. So it was a big fiasco. So please, leave your recyclable bags at home and work with the bags of one-time use at this point. And continue in safe distance. Wash your hands frequently. Try not to go out unless it's definitely needed at this point. We need to get ahead of this and stay ahead of it.
Excellent. All right.
Thanks, Bruce.
Dennis, you have a question or?
Our senior center
Oh,
director,
okay.
Josie Dittel, is joining us. So, Josie, do you want to give us an update from the perspective of the senior center? And I did have one thing to discuss with you.
Sure. So we continue to be have a presence in the senior center, answering phone calls, trying to help problem solve with folks that might be in need of rides or groceries, fuel assistance, all those sorts of things. So we're here. And I don't know, Dennis, if you were going to be talking about the question that we got related to Social Security and people who are on Social Security who may currently not file tax returns. Somebody found out that on a Forbes website that as of March 30th, that was no longer true, and the IRS was requiring those seniors to file a tax return in order to get the money. I have forwarded this question on to Elder Affairs in Massachusetts. We have a conference call tomorrow at 2 o'clock with the Massachusetts Council on. So I will try and get more information on that to be able to answer that question.
Excellent. That was the question. Initially, the stimulus checks were supposed to be mailed out, as Joseph said, anyone on Social Security, even if they didn't file. But some websites, and I saw the same thing on a story that essentially said that they will have to file something. I forget what the form was, but Josie's going to get clarification on that. We'll get that put out to the seniors, so they do what they need to do to make sure they get those stimulus checks.
Right.
One other, thanks, Joe. Jim Cupper, our town planner, is put together a little tutorial for people. We've got quite a few people asking, how do we sign up for Code Red? And it is on the town website. There's an icon there. But Jim, where will people be able to see that tutorial that you put together with regard to signing up for Code Red?
Yep, so I believe Karen's going to be posting it, or IT is going to be posting it on the town's website, and hopefully we'll also be able to get it over to public access so they can put it on loop so that folks can take a look at it. It's pretty straightforward once you get a hang of it, so just be on the lookout for it. Town website, public access, and our friend YouTube.
Great, thanks, Jim. Yeah, Chief Daigle had a question.
Actually, it's not a question. I just wanted to add something to my presentation. What we're seeing too, and maybe Josie can relay this to the seniors too, is not only are we seeing scams related to the COVID-19 issue that we need to warn people against. I wrote down a couple of the chapters and sections that recently we've been working with, and these are the types of things that we have to deal with. One of the chapters and sections deals with people who deliberately spread false information about the COVID-19 to cause a panic. So these are the things we have to address. We're reading through what the penalties are and everything else. There's a disorderly conduct charge now that's been created. It says creating a hazardous situation with no legitimate purpose. Kind of similar to people that are threatening to infect you with a virus. We've seen that. And then the third one is larceny by false pretenses, which basically people are lying about raising money in order to combat the COVID-19. So these are just some of the things that we have to deal with, some of the usual negative things. So I just want people to be aware that there are people out there that are going to be scamming, and they're going to be trying to take advantage of all of us, and especially our seniors. So it's something we can relay to everybody. That's all I want.
Excellent.
Thanks, Chief.
All right.
Had a few questions. Yeah, we had a few questions for Esther. Esther, someone was asking if their primary care physicians in Rhode Island and they're tested in Rhode Island, but they live in Bellingham. Where will that record, if they did come back positive, where would that record come about, or who would it be reflected on?
So if you are tested anywhere, it will go to your place of residence. So if they're tested in Rhode Island, it will be reflected on the Massachusetts and Bellingham numbers.
Great. We also had a question from someone with regard, and I mentioned this to you earlier, I don't know if you're able to get an answer on it, with their pets. They were concerned if someone was infected and they were petting their dog or their cat, and the virus got on the dog or cat hair, and then somebody else petted it, would it transfer?
So from what I've been able to find, fabric is very much like fur. So it's a porous surface. It's very hard for the virus to stay on that porous surface, which means it's very, very hard for someone to contract the virus by petting a dog that has been touched by someone who has the virus. You should be more concerned about leashes, harnesses, things that are inanimate that the virus can stay on. You might want to disinfect those. But the CDC does not have any reports of pets being tested positive for COVID-19 and no reports of the virus being transmitted to people from animals.
One last question. I know we've touched on it, but we got this one. Can COVID-19 virus travel in the form of aerosol or droplets through the air? Is it safe to stay outdoors in your yard?
So the coronavirus is transmitted by droplets. That is to say, if you cough or sneeze, it will be expelled in those secretions. If your backyard has not been visited by someone who has the virus, then there's no chance of the virus being in the air around you. It's not going to travel in the air to your backyard, so to speak. And again, as long as you're practicing the social distancing, those droplets tend to only carry approximately 3 to 5 feet, which is why the 6-foot guidance is in place.
Thank you. Keep the questions coming, COVID-19@bellinghamma.org, and we'll attempt to answer them here. Thank you.
All right, just gonna invite Town Clerk Larry Spasada for a quick update.
Thank you. In the clerk's office, we've been getting a lot of calls regarding the census. And there's some confusion as to whether or not people need to respond to the census. I just want to explain the difference between the two censuses that have been going out this year. The town census is done annually, and the forms are sent out in January and actually should be in by now. By law, it's supposed to be a 10-day turnaround, but obviously that's always worked. The Census 2020, which is very visible on there, there's a logo on there that says Census 2020, is a federal census. And the federal census has been getting performed since the inception of our country. So it's been a long time. It's done every 10 years, and it's done for a variety of reasons. Obviously, to get a handle on what the population is, where they live, and so on and so forth. Also to determine the number of seats in Congress in terms of the House of Representatives, and also determines federal funding back to the states. The annual census is used similarly to get state funding back to the municipalities. So it's really important to do it. It's important to everyone to do it, and both of them are required by law. So right now, we have not been sending anything out regarding census. Most of ours is already completed. The census that is coming now will say Census 2020 on it. And the way they're working it is they send an email asking you to go on your computer to respond. If you do not have a computer, you just ignore that. You will get a second reminder that asks you to go on the computer. If you ignore that, then you will get a written questionnaire in the mail that you can fill out and send back. It's actually mailed. If you refuse to do that or do not get around to doing it, eventually when all this is over, you may get a visit from someone that is actually going door to door to perform the census. So it kind of behooves you to, if you're not using the computer, to fill out the form that you get, where you can manually fill it out and mail it back. That way you don't have to worry about anyone coming to your house. So there are two very separate things. So just keep that in mind. The census that's coming in now, because April was the month that they were going to ramp it up. So they have already sent out the materials. That has to do with the federal census only. Thank you.
Thank you. Mark?
Just in closing, I just want to pass on the information again regarding the phone numbers to get further information regarding Massachusetts. If you would like, you can call 211 and you can ask any questions regarding anything you want to know about the coronavirus in Massachusetts. And if you have any work-related questions, you can also dial 617-727-3465, and that's for any work-related issues you may be having. And that's the Attorney General's office. Thank you. And that's it.
All right. All right. So in closing, I just want to touch upon the fact that we had our police and fire chief in. Their jobs of public safety are already incredibly difficult, and these times make it even more so. So on behalf of the departments, I would ask for continued support from the public. Keep doing the right things, social distancing, washing your hands, using hand sanitizer, and just being respectful and courteous to everyone. Thank you very much. Have a great day.
BellinghamMA.org for updates every day.
There you go.
Thank you.